The gasoline dripped from the car doors like a ticking clock, pooling beneath the tires in a thin, deadly river. Inside the back seat, Officer Elena Marquez could barely lift her head. Blood matted her dark brown hair against her cheek, and the sharp sting in her eyes told her she was fading. Her loyal German shepherd, Rex, lay pressed against her legs, trembling but alert, his deep brown eyes fixed on the man outside the window, holding a lighter between his fingers and smiling as if he were about to blow out birthday candles. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the idea that courage can show up at the very last second, take a moment right now to like this video, comment where you're watching from, share this story with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us why humanity is still worth believing in. Elena had been on the force for 9 years, the kind of officer who volunteered for the late shifts and stayed behind to finish paperwork so rookies could go home to their families. She had joined the department after her father, also a cop, was killed in the line of duty. People said she had his stubbornness and his heart. Rex had been her partner for 3 years, trained from a pup to detect danger and protect without hesitation. Together, they had become a quiet legend in their precinct. That morning had started like any other. Gray clouds hung low over the industrial outskirts of the city. Elena and Rex had been tracking a tip about a major drug shipment tied to Victor Salazar, a ruthless crime boss who had built an empire on fear. Salazar was known for sending messages, not warnings. When Elena pulled her cruiser behind an abandoned warehouse, she didn't know she was driving straight into a trap. The ambush was swift. Tires screeched, doors slammed, and masked men surrounded her vehicle. Rex barked furiously as Elena reached for her radio, but a blunt strike to her head blurred her vision. She remembered fighting. She remembered shouting Rex's name. Then darkness swallowed her. When she came to, she was in the back seat of her own patrol car, wrists bound, head pounding. The sharp, chemical smell hit her first. Gasoline. It soaked the seats, the floor, even Rex's fur. He whined softly, pressing his body against hers as if to shield her from the world. Through the rain-speckled window, she saw Salazar approach. He wore a tailored brown coat, hair slicked back, eyes gleaming with twisted amusement. He crouched by the window, raising a small silver lighter. His lips curled into a grin as he flicked it open, the flame dancing in the dull daylight. This was his message to the city: no one crosses him and walks away. Elena's thoughts drifted to her mother, who still called every Sunday. To the rookie she mentored. To Rex, who had saved her life more than once. She tried to move, to shield him, but her strength was draining. The world felt heavy, distant. Then, through the haze, she saw movement behind Salazar. A man in camouflage fatigue sprinted across the gravel lot, boots pounding with purpose. He wasn't one of Salazar's men. He moved differently. Calculated, precise, like every step had been rehearsed 1,000 times. Chief Petty Officer Daniel Hayes had returned from his 3rd overseas deployment only 2 weeks earlier. A Navy SEAL with 15 years of service, he had seen deserts burn and oceans rage. That morning, he had been driving to visit his sister when he noticed something wrong: a police cruiser in an abandoned lot, men gathered too casually around it, the unmistakable glint of a lighter in a criminal's hand. Instinct, honed by years of combat, told him this wasn't a misunderstanding. Daniel didn't think about backup. He didn't weigh odds. He saw a woman unconscious, a dog trapped, and a man about to turn them into ash. Salazar never saw him coming. In one explosive motion, Daniel tackled him to the ground. The lighter flew from Salazar's hand, skidding across wet gravel. One of the henchmen reached for a weapon, but Daniel moved with controlled force, disarming and subduing him in seconds. Years of discipline coursed through his muscles. He didn't fight with rage. He fought with purpose. Another man lunged, but Rex, sensing the shift, summoned his last reserves of strength. With a fierce growl, he launched himself against the car door, barking wildly. The distraction was enough. Daniel struck decisively, sending the attacker fleeing. Sirens wailed in the distance. A passerby had seen the commotion and called for help. Salazar struggled beneath Daniel's grip, but the flame he had planned for others now flickered uselessly in a puddle of rainwater. Daniel rushed to the cruiser. The smell of gasoline was overwhelming. He smashed the rear window with the butt of a fallen weapon, careful to avoid the spreading fuel. Reaching inside, he cut Elena's restraints first. Her pulse was faint but steady. Rex licked her face, whining urgently. "It's okay," Daniel murmured, more to himself than to them, as he pulled them both from the car. He carried Elena away from the spreading gasoline, Rex limping loyally beside them despite the fumes that had singed his fur. Moments later, police units swarmed the lot. Paramedics stabilized Elena and treated Rex. Salazar, handcuffed and furious, was hauled away as cameras flashed. His empire, built on intimidation, had been cracked by one unplanned act of courage. Elena spent weeks recovering. The concussion left her with headaches and fragments of memory she wished she could forget. Rex needed treatment for smoke inhalation, but he recovered quickly, his tail wagging the moment he saw her walk into the veterinary clinic. Daniel visited once, quietly, without uniform or recognition. He didn't stay long. He told her he had only done what anyone would do. Elena knew that wasn't true. Not everyone runs toward fire. In the months that followed, Salazar's arrest unraveled a network of crime that had plagued the city for years. Witnesses came forward. Officers found renewed purpose. Elena returned to duty, a faint scar along her hairline her only visible reminder. Rex remained at her side, more protective than ever. But something had changed inside her. Lying in that gas-soaked car, she had felt how fragile everything was. She began speaking at community events, telling young recruits about fear and resilience. She talked about the stranger who refused to let evil have the final word. About how courage isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just a decision made in a heartbeat. Daniel went back to his base, declining interviews and medals. For him, heroism wasn't a headline. It was a responsibility. Years later, Elena would still remember the smell of gasoline and the sight of a flame inches from her life. But stronger than that memory was another, boots pounding against gravel, a blur of camouflage, and the sudden realization that hope can arrive when you least expect it. Before we close this story, take a second to comment the word courage if you believe one brave act can change everything. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that light can break through even the darkest moments, please like, share, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps keep stories of resilience and second chances alive. Because sometimes, the difference between tragedy and triumph is a single person who decides not to look away. And on that gray morning, when gasoline threatened to erase two loyal souls from the world, one man chose to run toward the danger instead of away from it. And that choice saved more than a life. It restored faith that even in a world shadowed by cruelty, courage still burns brighter than any flame.